Now, if you're anything like me, you grew up being a huge gamer, and to this day, I am still a massive gamer. I play video games basically pretty much every day, right? And I have ever since I was a kid. Now, I really want you to watch this video in its entirety because when I was growing up, I was always told that video games were bad and they're a waste of my time, and if you played video games, you would basically get nowhere. Now, I want to show you how I've been able to use my video game addiction. I would call it an addiction, right? How I use that addiction to create myself a very successful online business, and really how you can too. Because at the end of the day, I feel like life is a game, and I really want to show you how you can use video games to upgrade yourself in real life and to really do a good job of it. And I'm going to show you from real examples of my life and how I've done it in multiple ways. And before you say anything, no, I'm not sponsored by Coco Bella. Maybe if you're watching this, Coco Bella, maybe sponsor me. I drink a shit ton of this coconut water. It's delicious. So let's really do a deep dive. Now, from when I was a very young age, I played video games. Okay, I played all kinds of games, right? All kinds of video games from when I was got into video games. I got my first console when I was around 5 or 6 years old. PlayStation 1, I used to play Crash Bandicoot, right? But over the years, I played a lot of platformers, shooters, so FPS games, story games, MMOs, RPGs, right? All of that stuff. And it was either something that I really liked to do, I really excelled at. So platformer games like Crash Bandicoot, I was always really focused on. Competitive games, I always liked games that required me to think, required me to be competitive at some point and really test my skill. And I love that because I love the idea of trying, failing, getting better. And when games were too hard for someone else, that to me was just like, even at a young age, I really enjoyed the challenge, right? I remember specifically when I was like 6 years old, me and my parents would sit down and play Crash Bandicoot. My parents, because this was a hard game, if you've never played it, it was a hard game. And as a kid, it was still hard, right? Still hard to this day. But my parents would get angry playing that game because the levels were so hard. But I just loved the challenge of it. Never finished as a kid. I did come back and finish it. But anyway, that's besides the point. As I got older, I started, obviously playing different games, and I've never stopped playing games. But played games like Black Ops. I stopped to this day. I play Black Ops. I like Elden Ring, right? I even got to the point where I played competitive Rocket League. And if you can see here, so I was at one stage playing super competitively a few years ago. I got to my peak being at top 4 in Australia in Rocket League. Okay, I was on a top 4 team, and I mean top 4 in the whole of Australia, right? So I got to that peak level. So gaming's been a big part of my life. Now, if you can see here, this is actually my stat tracker for the game of Rocket League, right? And I have basically been at the highest rank. Now, as of a few months ago, I've actually stopped playing. And I'll talk a little bit about why in a second, but I stopped playing this game in particular, not gaming in general, just Rocket League. It was taking up way too much of my time, but I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be, right? So Supersonic Legend is the highest rank in this game. I was actually, as soon as this level came out, Supersonic Legend, I've basically been at that level, right? As soon as it was out. So I've been at the top level. So I like competitive games, and that means I put a lot of hours into it. Now, how does this transfer? How does all of this transfer to me, my life, okay? Health, wealth, relationships, right? My life here, okay? How did I translate this video game addiction to me being able to be fit, go to gym, enjoy the way that I look, feel good about myself, eat good food, I'm able to go out to dinner, I've got a beautiful partner, right? Great relationship, just really fulfilling life in general, and also have a business that, it's done multiple 6 figures, right? Way past multi 6 figures, and really I'm able to have an online business where I see days like this. Payouts like this are quite typical on week to week, right? And I'm not here to flash numbers, but I'm just here to show you that this is something that's very possible. Okay, so how have I done this? How have I translated all of this video game addiction, my love for video games, into real life? Right, so when I was younger, video games are always talked down on. okay, by parents, by the media when I was growing up. But personally for me, it's taught me a lot of lessons about life. About hard work, it's taught me about hard work, opportunity, directed effort, and attention. Okay, so when I was growing up, everyone, and it still happens to this day, parents, media, they demonize video games basically as a whole, and they say that it's a waste, and if you play video games, you're sort of seen as this lazy person, right? And to some extent, that is true. And I'll talk a little bit about why in this next point. But I think that there's a lot of lessons to learn, and there's a lot you can translate from video games to real life and actually have a really good life being able to play video games, but also utilize what you've learned if you play a lot of video games and apply that to your life as well. Okay, so the reason why it's demonized is because of this here, and this is what happened in my life. We look at a seesaw of time and energy being spent. Now, majority of time and energy, when I was doing nothing with my life, right, and I was just gaming, all of my time and energy, my efforts were put into gaming. So my gaming was on a high, right? Loved gaming. It was my escape. It was just the way, it was just what I did on my time off, and really just all my time. I didn't watch movies really that much, not many TV shows. Gaming was my thing, right? But the rest of my life took a back seat, okay? Even up to the point of my early 20s, it kind of felt like that. Yes, I was working, I had a job, I had a retail job, but felt like the rest of my life was taking a back seat, okay? Even though I had studied, I became a personal trainer, got my personal training certificates, did a diploma in game development, right? And I felt like I still worked hard, but it felt like this. It felt like the seesaw was just not even, okay? It was all going to gaming, and the rest of my life was just not there, okay? So this is what happened. Now, in around 2017, okay, around 22 years old was when I first started my first online business. I was working retail at the time. I started my first online business, and at the time that was selling on Amazon, okay? And I realized back then, this is what it made me realize, because I looked at the money I was making on Amazon, and then I looked at how much I was making in my retail job. And I thought to myself, because up until then, I thought that a lot of things weren't possible, and really it was sort of like an uphill battle with trying to get out of my situation. But I realized after starting this online business, I was making this internet money, that life's literally, it's a game. Life is a game, right? So what I started doing was I started living it like it was one. Now, what do I mean by that? So this is how I've been able to translate this stuff in gaming. And I love talking about this, okay? So if you've played games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, if you don't know what they are, they're very difficult games. And they're games that basically the whole goal is to do things that are harder than so you start off at a low level, you verse a lot of enemies, a lot of bosses that are a lot higher level than you. And as you beat these harder things in the game, you get more and more skill points, right? So something like this. Okay, this is a screenshot of a video game character from Elden Ring. So what you do is when you're beating these harder enemies, right? You're accumulating what's called skill points, right? So the accumulation of these come from hard work, trialing, failing, and succeeding in this game. Okay, and your goal is to obviously have the sickest character out there, right? You want to have a cool looking character. You want to have a high level, right? You want to have all your skills leveled up, okay? And you want to be like the best that you can be in this game, right? So in regards to Elden Ring, this game, hard work in this game means beating extremely difficult enemies and bosses that are at a much higher level than you. Now, this actually is transferable to life, and I'll show you in a second. But essentially what happens, you get all these points from beating these bosses, right? Beating these people in a game that are higher level than you, and you use those points, well, you use those, the accumulation of hard work. In this case, these are called runes, right? But we'll just say this is all your hard work. Okay, you get runes for hard work, right? Then what you do is you use those runes, so you use all that accumulation of hard work, and you put it into skills, right? So you put it into skills, which is essentially your level. Now the funny thing is that you can respec, okay, which means you can transfer your skills, your skill points into other skill points as much as you want. So let's say if you wanted to, in this case, vigor is like your health, right? You've got strength, dexterity is like your speed, you've got intelligence, you've got all these different skills. Now, if you wanted to really upgrade your health, right, you could do that. But later on, you could use those points and you could transfer them into maybe strength or maybe endurance, right? And you can have a more balanced sort of character. Or maybe you just want to go all full strength, right? But you can only get there by doing the hard work, okay? Then you're allowed to spend those points or spend those, basically the accumulation of this hard work, how you want. Now, here's the thing. Leveling up in a video game is the exact same in real life. So let's talk a little bit about this here. It's a diagram that I made. This is the exact same thing, okay? So just like how we've got the attribute points, you've got vigor, mind, endurance, strength, dexterity, all that stuff. They're all your areas of expertise, of skills, right? It's the exact same for you. You've got things like health, wealth, relationships, experience, knowledge, abilities. These are all your different skills. Now, it's the exact same. This is how I started looking at my life. It's the accumulation of hard work. Okay, so accumulation of hard work upgrades these areas in blue, right? So hard work in life, okay, compared to, it's different, a little bit different to a video game. Hard work in life is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. But the funny thing is, see how it sounds really similar? Hard work in life is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, trialing, failing, succeeding, learning from doing things that require you to be at a higher level. Okay, so it's the exact same thing. You're at a low level, you're beating these hard enemies and these hard bosses that are much higher level than you. That's how you get this accumulation of points you can use, essentially. You're doing things that are outside your comfort zone, okay? You try, you fail, you succeed, you learn. It's the exact same thing, okay? Then you can put all of this accumulation of hard work into these blue areas, right? Let's say you wanted to put them into health. Okay, well, you start working out. Okay, maybe you've gone from not working out at all to maybe working out 2 or 3 days a week. It's hard, okay? It's out of your comfort zone. But that accumulates all of this hard work. They are essentially your runes, right? Your runes that you can spec or that you can put into this skill. Health, okay? Wealth. Maybe you start learning about ways you can make money online, right? You start learning, okay? Relationships. If you don't have a partner yet, maybe you should go and learn how to talk to people. You put in the hard work. Maybe you get rejected a few times, right? Maybe you've been in relationships that haven't been that good, right? But that's just all trying, failing, succeeding. You learn, right? It's the exact same thing. And I did the exact same thing for business, okay? So what I did was I put in the hard work in business, okay? If we come back to here, up the top here, right, I was actually an overweight person. You can probably see from my prior videos, I've probably got something on this channel that shows these photos. But when I was a teenager, I was overweight. I had to learn how to diet properly. I had to learn how to eat the right foods. I had to learn the right exercises. I had to stay committed. Okay, that's why I've got things like steak here. Like, doing this stuff is a lot easier for me now because my level is higher. I've put that into the health skill. You know what I mean? And it's the same with business, okay? I've tried and failed in business too, right? But it's the exact same thing, okay? The harder you work, the more accumulation, or the more of this hard work that you accumulate, the more runes essentially you get. You can put them into different areas and you can choose which areas you put into. Now, it's the exact same. So the only difference is there is no max level. So unlike a video game, there's no max level, which means there's no limit to your abilities. Okay, there's no limit. If you want to be as fit as possible, you can do that. Okay, there's really no limit. No limit to the amount you can learn, no limit to the amount of money you can make. There is no limit, right? The funny thing is as well, you can also respec into different areas of your life. So what do I mean by this? So if we go back to here, I've specced all of my hard work at one point in time into being top 4 in Australian Rocket League. I was learning all the different ways to play the game. I was learning all the mechanics. I was learning how to play as a team. I was learning how to rank up. I was learning all of that knowledge in Rocket League. Okay. Then, after I got out of that point in my life, I wanted to respec. So what did I respec? I put some of that energy, what I'd learned from the game, all of the really the commitment and everything that I put into that game. I respec that into my health and I respec that into my business. Right? So what I mean is I used all of that time and energy and what I'd learned from that skill, I just took it out of that and put it into those two things, right? Health, business, and even relationship as well, right? So you can do the exact same thing. You can respec into different areas of your life. Okay, so again, I've respec from health to knowledge, to relationships, to wealth. But the funny thing is that you'll get to a point where as you increase your level, which means the more hard work you put in, okay, the more skill points there are to go around as a whole. So it doesn't just have to be you're really good at, you're really fit, but you're not so good at business, or you're really good at business, but you're not so fit. The more you do these things, the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone, the more hard work you accumulate. So the more runes, again, that you accumulate, you're going to have more and more to spend. So instead of it just being business down here, health up here, or health down here, business up here, they'll both be up at the top, right? Because you've got more and more experience. You are leveling yourself up, okay? So think of it like that. Once I started thinking of life more as a game, it became so much easier, right? And you've probably learned a lot of things. If you are someone who's played a lot of games in your life, you know that a lot of the time, without cheating, okay, a lot of the time, to get what you want, it takes work. And there's no way around it, right? You've got to be committed. You've got to put the hours in. But now think of it, instead of putting your hours into a video game and leveling up your character, level up yourself in your real life, right? Because it's possible. I just applied the same level of thinking, right? Maybe I'm a nerd. Maybe some people don't understand this, but to me it makes sense, and it's worked for me, okay? So it might work for you as well. So here's the thing. One last thing as well. To make this change, you got to switch up your perspective on life. Okay, so don't think of it as though, okay, well, I'm not allowed to play video games anymore. I can't do the things that I want to do. I've got to, stop what I love, my hobbies, and I've got to put it all into this so I can have a good life. That's not it at all. As I said, it is an accumulation of hard work, trying, failing, succeeding, learning. Okay, and the only way to get there is to first put yourself out of your comfort zone. What I did is I first realized I needed to make a change. So instead of just cutting out gaming completely, I limited it. And I put in those hours, what I'd learned from all those experiences. Even though you might think that you haven't learned anything from that, if you played any kind of video game, you would have learned something from it, right? I think they're very helpful for that. But I just used that time, instead of spending all my time on gaming, I just severely limited it, right? At least for quite a while. Then I put the time into what I wanted to: health, relationships, my business, okay, wealth, making money, right? Creating a life that I wanted to. I wanted to become, or just push myself to that next level in real life. Instead of doing it just in a video game, I applied that and did it to real life as well, okay? So just change that perspective. Now, to this day, as I said, right, here's what's going to happen in this video for me, or here's what's going to happen for me. I'm going to make this video, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to post it, and then you know what I'm going to do after that? Since I've done a nice full day of work, I've specced all of my skills, all my time into work, into doing my best to create wealth, into doing my best with my relationships, my health. I've gone to the gym today, done everything I needed to do. You know what I'm going to do after I do this last bit of work for today? I'm going to go play some Call of Duty. You don't have to stop what your hobbies are, okay? You just need to really change your perspective, get some priorities right, and you can have the best of both worlds, okay? If anyone tells you that you need to stop gaming completely, they're lying, to be completely honest, okay? So, hope this video helped. All right, if it did, let me know. I love talking about this stuff because I'm very, very passionate about it. But hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you're watching as well. I'll see you guys in the next one.